February 18th, 1891, Leicester, England, 3:47 a.m. The first piston moves. 4 Wolf compound beam engines, each weighing 52 tons, begin breathing. Not a trial run, not a test. This is day 1 of what will become the longest continuous industrial operation in British municipal history. 73 years. Not a single scheduled shutdown. Not one maintenance day. Not a moment's rest. The Abbey Pumping Station starts pumping sewage, and it will not stop until 1964. This isn't a story about machines that happen to last. This is a story about a philosophy of engineering so fundamentally different from ours that the equipment built under its principles operated longer than most modern marriages survive. The Victorians didn't build for replacement cycles. They built for eternity. Each engine stands 3 stories tall, cast iron columns thick as ancient trees, flywheels 18 feet across, weighing 8 tons each, all rotating with the patient certainty of planets. The beam overhead, 30 feet long, pivoting on a central axis, rocks up and down with hypnotic rhythm. 24 strokes per minute. Every stroke pulls raw sewage from Leicester's growing population up 40 feet, sending it toward treatment beds 3 miles away. The engine room smells of hot metal and steam and machine oil. The temperature hovers around 85 degrees Fahrenheit, year-round, summer and winter. Maintained by the engine's own heat, the sound is not loud, but omnipresent. The hiss of steam, the metallic breathing of pistons, the deep bass note of those massive flywheels cutting through air. 4 engines, but only 2 run at any given time. This is Victorian redundancy. This is engineering that assumes nothing. Not supply chains, not replacement parts, not future maintenance budgets. Every component has a backup. Every system has a twin. If one engine needs attention, 3 others stand ready. If a bearing shows wear, the engine can be isolated while its partners continue the work. The pumping never stops, because stopping means Leicester drowns in its own waste. The city's population in 1891, 174,000 people. By 1964, over 273,073 years of continuous growth. And the same 4 engines handle it all. No upgrades, no replacements. The system designed in 1889 proved sufficient for nearly 3/4 of a century of urban expansion. Consider what that means. The engineers who designed Abbey Pumping Station calculated future demand for a city they would never see. They built for a Leicester of 1950, of 1960. Using only the data available in 1889, they over-engineered by enormous margins because under-engineering meant public health catastrophe. Every piston is forged from a single piece of steel. No welds, no joints. The bearing surfaces are machined to tolerances of 1/1000th of an inch, or then hand-lapped by craftsmen who understood that precision determines longevity. The connecting rods are polished like sculpture. The valve gear, the intricate mechanism that times steam admission and exhaust, contains 47 moving parts per engine, each one manufactured to jeweler's standards. This is not Victorian excess, this is Victorian insurance. The maintenance crews work like cardiac surgeons. They don't wait for failure, they hunt for weakness every week. They check bearing temperatures with the backs of their hands, feeling for the telltale heat of friction. They listen to the engines like musicians tuning instruments, detecting irregularities in the rhythm that would be inaudible to untrained ears. They measure wear with calipers and micrometers, recording changes in thousandths of inches. Oil goes in constantly, not modern synthetic oil, but heavy mineral oil, almost honey thick, applied to each bearing every few hours. The engines consume hundreds of gallons per week, but they don't consume bearings. The original bearing metals, white metal, a tin-based alloy, last decades because they're never allowed to run dry steam pressure. 60 pounds per square inch. Not high by industrial standards, the Victorians understood that moderate pressure meant moderate stress. And moderate stress meant long life. These engines could probably handle twice the pressure. They're designed to operate at half their theoretical maximum, ensuring every component lives in permanent comfort. The boiler house operates with the same philosophy. 8 Leicestershire boilers, each 30 feet long, all hand-fired with coal. The firemen, actual job title, shovel coal every 20 minutes around the clock. They know exactly where to place each shovelful for even heat distribution. They rid the fire like weather forecasters read clouds, adjusting airflow, coal placement, water levels, maintaining that precise 60 psi that keeps the engines breathing winter. 1947, Britain freezes under the worst cold in living memory. The Thames ices over coal, supplies collapse, factories shut down nationwide for lack of fuel, Abbey Pumping Station runs. The crew burns anything combustible. Furniture, wooden crates, emergency coal stocks intended for months. They burn it in days. The engines cannot stop. The city produces sewage, whether it's -10 outside or not. The pistons keep stroking. The flywheels keep turning. The operators work 12-hour shifts in sub-zero. Temperatures because the boiler house doors must open for coal delivery, and when they open, Arctic air pours in. But the engines stay warm. The engine room, heated by its mechanical occupants, remains habitable. The men rotate between the frigid boiler house and the temperate engine room, staving off hypothermia, keeping the pumps running. This is not automation. This is human will channeled through Victorian iron. By 1950, Abbey Pumping Station is an anachronism. New installations use electric motors, centrifugal pumps, automated controls. They're more efficient, more compact, are easier to operate, but they're not more reliable. The steam engines that started in 1891 are still running. The electric systems installed in the 1930s have already needed major overhauls. The paradox of planned obsolescence versus engineered permanence plays out in real time. Modern efficiency means higher output per unit of fuel. Victorian efficiency means higher output per unit of existence. The Abbey engines consume more coal per gallon pumped than their electric successors, but they consume zero replacement parts, zero major repairs. The operating cost includes fuel and maintenance. The capital cost was paid in 1891 and never repeated. The accountants of 1960 run the numbers. 73 years of continuous operation, original capital investment, £16,000 in 1891 money. Maintenance costs averaged over 7 decades, negligible compared to modern replacement cycles. The steam engines have pumped billions of gallons. The original pistons are still in place. No modern system can make that claim. But modernity wins anyway, not because it's better, because it's cheaper to install, even if it's costlier to replace, because steam engineers are retiring and their apprentices are learning different trades, because coal is losing the fuel war to electricity. Because society has decided that permanence is less valuable than initial affordability. 1964, the decision comes down from Leicester City Council: decommission Abbey Pumping Station, install electric pumps. The engines have run 26,734,560 minutes without a scheduled day off. The last shift arrives at 6 a.m. Just like the first shift 73 years earlier, they banked the fires, they drained the boilers, they shut the steam valves, the flywheels coast to stillness after 73 years of motion. Silence fills the engine room for the first time since 1891. The building becomes a museum. The engines remain preserved, occasionally run for demonstrations. Tourist groups watch them breathe again, briefly, steam hissing, piston stroking. Yeah, that ancient rhythm returning for a few minutes before shutdown. The engines prove they could still do the job. They're not worn out, they're just obsolete. This is the legacy. 4 machines that answered a question we no longer ask. Can it run forever? The Victorian said yes, and built accordingly. We say no, and build accordingly. Neither answer is wrong. But only one creates machines that pump sewage without a single day off for 73 years. Abbey Pumping Station stands in Leicester today, silent but intact, a monument to an engineering philosophy we've chosen to abandon. The engines wait, technically capable, historically significant, functionally unemployed. They could still pump Leicester's sewage. They just won't be asked to. That's not mechanical failure, that's cultural choice.